Even in the midst of a 9-game winning streak, the Twins can't help but find some negativity as the clock struck midnight. Comcast no longer has the support of Bally Sports North, and so you, if you are a subscriber, have been sent scrambling to watch your Twins. We'll cover that. We'll cover the upcoming game, the finale against the White Sox, and much more. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. And joining me, as he most often does, is Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. What's up?
Hi, Brandon. I'm grateful individually that I can watch the Twins out of the Twin Cities markets, but lots of people aren't so lucky.
Yeah, and they're not happy about it either, as you might have expected. But thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day, your first watch every day, too, if you're watching this on YouTube. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and, of course, on YouTube, and as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100. And remember, too, you can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search for Twins. Up next, it's going to be a good one. Bailey Ober against Chris Flexen. First pitch scheduled for 1:10 p.m. So if you're watching this right when it comes out or listening to it, not that far off here. So we're going to try to get you up to speed here before the ball game. We're going to try to recap the ball game that the Twins won in somewhat similar fashion to the night before. And then, I don't know, maybe Dave, should we lead off with the TV stuff, do you think?
Yeah.
So the TV deal with Comcast for Bally Sports North expired, I believe, at the stroke of midnight, which, wow, how poetic, right? Where do we even start from for this, Dave? Because it's, so right now, if you are a Twins fan and trying to watch ball games in the local market, you can have, as I have, DirecTV. I have DirecTV Stream. You can have Fubo, which I don't think is as popular of an option as the other choices. And then you can also do things that are a little less, how do I say this? Legal. Lots of options that are not above board. I honestly, I feel like the way this situation has been fumbled, I do not begrudge people for taking that route, whether it's pirating streams, VPNs for MLB.TV. And again, I'm not trying to say that you should do any of those things, but they're not leaving people with much of a choice.
Well, it's not a situation that has been very well handled anyway when people could see the games. The fans are always getting jerked around by cable companies or broadcasters or providers or maybe teams sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gray market, gray area kind of thing legally with something like VPN, which is what you can do to kind of disguise your computer or cable box or smart TV or whatever to fool the content into thinking that you're in some other region. So, for example, if you lived in Minneapolis and was a Comcast subscriber, if you did some trickery with your VPN, you could, with a kind of a virtual private network is what it stands for.
Yeah.
To kind of mask yourself, you could buy the MLB.TV package, and I would encourage you to do that. And stream the Twins, even something that you couldn't do if you didn't have the VPN in place. So it takes some legwork and some gumption and some willingness to kind of enter that gray area of what's legal. But like Brandon said, if you're not being given a choice by the providers, if they're fighting over things in the middle of a season. And, I don't think you have any ethical or moral issues with doing something like that. So VPN is the way to go. Find your smart nephew or something if you don't have, the technical confidence to do this yourself. But that's what I would do if I were
How
you.
do you, how do you assign culpability? Because there's no shortage of blame being thrown around on Twitter right now. And I mean, that could apply to anything. We could be talking about who produced the home run sausage or the Boys of Summer sausage mascot. We could be throwing blame around for that. But I'm talking about specifically because there's a lot of people upset at the Twins who, basically are trying to wash their hands of it via a statement that was passed out last night.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
think
that.
it's okay to blame the Twins. I mean, they're the ones who. What I think has happened was the Twins decided to go with Rob Manfred's plan. There's another guy you could blame.
Yeah.
To do a coalition, a collective of teams to go forth digitally with providing the games, and because of the ongoing rigmarole with Diamond Sports and Bally Sports, that plan has been delayed. So, I mean, the Twins aren't purposely, denying their fans coverage, but if they thought it might be possible for this to happen, and with all the back and forth with Bally Sports over the past few years about deadlines and not making payments, and are they solvent? Are they in bankruptcy? I mean, it would have made sense for the Twins to get as far away from Diamond Sports, the parent company of Bally Sports, as possible. But they chose to go with Manfred's plan of doing the collective digital business that hasn't happened yet because MLB couldn't get its own house in order. So I think it's fine to be mad at the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not all that's going on. There are other people at fault. In addition, it would have been nice if they had a plan B in place already, but they didn't. So get mad at whoever you want to, but just remember, it's okay to find alternative solutions, no matter what kind of pain in the butt it might be.
Yeah, even if you don't cite the Twins as the most blameworthy or blameable, they're definitely complicit. I mean, they didn't jump into bed here knowing or not knowing that this deadline existed, or that.
No, they've been taking Diamond's money whenever they get paid.
Yeah.
So it's not and conversely, or not conversely, but in addition to that, talking about payroll cuts and it's the easiest thing in the world is to cry, cheap poll ads and all that stuff. But it's not like an unwarranted or an unfair criticism. It's like I said, the Twins aren't the only ones making this problem. It's an industry wide, and it goes beyond baseball. It goes beyond cable TV. It's how we all consume our media these days. It's a big problem. I don't know about globally, but certainly in the country. So it's bigger than the Twins. But the Twins have their part in the mess that's happening right now.
What does your gut say about where we go from here? Because I feel like they've known this deadline was there for quite some time and couldn't avert it. Why would and suddenly why are they going to act out of?
Well, I think that the word the answer would be leverage and how upset people get, and I've been looking for data on like how many fans this affects, and I'm not sure. I've got some feelers out. I've seen stories where Comcast, that's the company over Bally Sports at this point, that is taking the product off the air. That maybe in the Twin Cities there's 300,000 people who get Comcast, and it's not just a Twins issue, because the Braves and the Tigers and all kinds of other teams. I think there are 12 at this point, 11 or 12 Bally teams. There, if you have Comcast, you can't get that product. You can't get the games. So it's how much complaining is good. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Mhm.
And it happens a lot when these deadlines get passed, and it's kind of like a strike in a way, that maybe people are out of work for a few days, and if uh, enough people are hurting on both sides, then that draws them to the negotiating table. I mean, that's kind of one way to look at it. I don't know, like, if uh, the games will be back on in a few days after pressure is applied or after payments are renegotiated or whatever. But I think it's certainly possible as long as people keep complaining and they don't have their Twins and the team's having a good season. It's going to, and the Wolves too. I don't know. Are the Wolves going to be on Bally Sports North anymore in the playoffs, or is that like TNT at this point?
So their last playoff game was actually the last one that would be televised locally once you get to the second round, or at least as Michael Grady and Jim Pete explained it, that was the end of their season responsibilities because it will jump to whether it's TNT or whoever.
That's
so
probably not a coincidence either that happened. I mean, so they don't have to worry about the next round of the playoffs,
which is good.
Yeah, that's one less fly in the ointment. But to kind of re-answer your question, I don't know what's going to happen. Any number of things could, but in the meantime, I think it would behoove people to change your VPNs and not your VPLs, but that's different.
Is the common thread here greed? Because this feels like the worst laid out public negotiation I've seen in quite some time. It just seems like they are missing the mark with the average fan in every meaningful, manageable way, waiting for the other side to flinch. And it's
that's why, I mean, they think we're going to come back no matter what. And, no matter what kind of crap they pull.
Once I figure out a way to watch these games that's below board, but I don't feel like I'm ethically doing something wrong, I'm going to do that. If they lose millions of subscribers to people who pirate it or avoid cable altogether with a VPN, this is not the old days where we all had to have the same TV. People got options. This is a very poorly thought out strategy by pretty much everybody involved.
Well, greed is always a part of it. There's also desperation and, signing, you sign these contracts with these companies and then they go into bankruptcy, and that just kind of flips things on their head. So, you've got, and you got miscalculations on the part of Major League Baseball, like what's going to happen and the individual teams as well. So it is, greed is maybe an oversimplification, but that's certainly a basis for it because they're fighting over, how many millions of dollars they're going to have. Meanwhile, we don't have the, and they're using fans and they're using fans' desperation and unhappiness to make a better deal. So, greed is always going to be a big factor.
Nope. Hey, we were muted there for a second. My mistake. Hey, DoorDash wants you to know that this Mother's Day, you can get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 50% off your next order, up to 15% when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience store, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? Get her a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You can't go wrong. Plus, you get the convenience of shopping on your phone so you don't have to be the one scrambling around driving to find whatever's open on that Sunday morning and get something that mom may or may not like. We've all been there, right? Order now and everything you need will be for you on Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend at least $15 on your next flower, convenience store, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONMLB. Using the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, you can order using DoorDash today. Terms do apply. And our friends at PrizePicks want you to know that it's North America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. If you want to be risky, you can do the demon picks. Those are marked in red and a little scarier. but the payoff is that much more, like up to 100 times your bet. But if you're more cautious, the Goblin picks are probably for you marked in green. They're a little less risky, but they can keep you in the green, letting you consistent victories. If you're into the NBA, you can pick more than or less than on everything from three-pointers made to turnovers committed. And in baseball, you got first inning runs, strikeouts, all that fun stuff. You can download the app today and enter code LOCKEDONMLB. That's all one word. That's all lowercase for a first deposit up to $100. Again, LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, all lowercase, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So, Dave, how long was I talking before I unmuted myself?
Oh, no one could hear you?
I have no idea, honestly.
Well, I lost you. I mean, I don't think it was longer than 30 seconds, but that can be an eternity. It was maybe that long.
Yeah, that's not a good look for me. Well, hey, I'm back. I'm here. I'm ready to talk about the affiliates. We'll talk about the Twins game that they actually played. And hopefully I can fix the rest of that in editing. But quickly, Twins win 6-5. Sack. Was it a sack fly by Max Kepler? I had it pulled up that it was back-to-back games that drove in the winning run. Yeah, sack fly. Twins just the last couple of games have had some things go their way in the late innings that we just have not seen the rest of the season. It's actually kind of refreshing to watch.
You know, you put the ball in play, as people like to complain about, and good things happen. So, yeah, I mean, Max Kepler has been in the league for long enough that, you know, he knows what to do. And also, you know, Willie Castro wasn't going to hit 100 all season. So, you know, for as bad as things were, they were bound to turn in the little ways that, you know, add up to runs that weren't happening before. So, and they're hitting the ball harder too. Carlos Santana's up there and in good red numbers and in hitting the ball in exit velocity around the whole league. So it's just funny how quickly things turn. And it was kind of it was good to see I guess the big, you know, other than the winning streak, getting Duran back out there to close the game out was you know, significant for not just yesterday, but everything going forward. It puts everybody in more or less the right spot in the bullpen. We're still waiting on Topa to finish his rehab assignment, but it's the bullpen that they dreamed of in spring training, and it was pretty good when the back ends and the middle and some of the top were cobbled together. But you know, those are the things that, you know, going forward are going to be huge for the Twins, especially with some iffiness at the end of the rotation.
Topa due back soon, pitched for the Saints yesterday afternoon, gave up 3 runs, 2 earned in his short spurt of duty. How much do you care about the results on his rehab?
You know, I didn't honestly. I haven't looked at like hard numbers in terms of, you know, how hard was he throwing? What are the circumstances of the run? You know, details I'm unfortunately ignorant of. So, I mean, it's not, it shows me off the top of my head. I would say, well, it's maybe a little bit of rust and he needs a few more. You know, when did he go down in spring training? At what point? It wasn't
pretty late because he didn't jam his knee on something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so, I mean,
it was covering home plate.
Yeah, it was pretty late because I think for the last bit there, they weren't sure if he was going to make the opening day roster, and then, you know, we're a month in and he's still not made his debut. It's just funny how those things can kind of snowball.
Well, I mean, it's good in a way that it's a lower body, as we say in hockey injury, because, you know, yes. But, you know, you need your knee. you still need your knees, you know, when you're landing and you're throwing. So they want to make sure that it's, and now it's coming back to me a little bit. Topa's like, no, I want to play through this. And they're like, no, we're going to knock out any bit of soreness so this doesn't linger all season. I remember Rocco saying something about that. So I think that's why it's taken so long. They're just, they don't want to treat this like it's the stretch run and the playoffs are going on. And we need you out there, man. And we need to sacrifice everything. You know, they have enough depth, so they can wait for Topa to be as 100% as he can be at this point.
Speaking of that game, David Festa, I always want to say Matt Festa, but David Festa was the best. 10 strikeouts.
I'm trying to make it a good, yeah, right. This is not a bad signal.
Okay. You're telling me. 10 strikeouts in 5 innings, 2 earned. He did give up a 2-run homer to Austin Wins, I think it is, the guy who used to catch for the Orioles.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. And they said he had like 14 homers in his professional career. So pretty rare that he homers. But Patrick Winkle returned with a grand slam. So both teams got homers from their catchers.
A Rip Van Winkle, if you will.
Yeah, right. Let's quickly go around the affiliates, too. All 4 of the affiliates lost. Saints 7-5, Wichita 8-4 at Northwest Arkansas. Travis Adams gave up 5 earned and 5 1/3. The Muscles lost at Bradenton 7-3. Winokur was 2 for 5. But Josh Winder getting on his rehab stint, 2 earned in an inning and 2/3, 4 strikeouts, no walks. So we'll keep an eye on that because he's got 30 days. They will have to add him back to the 40 when he's ready. But they also DFA'd Matt Bowman. So they do have an open spot for him when that time comes. And then Cedar Rapids losing 11-6 to Peoria. Their relievers, 3 of them combined for 8 runs, 6 earned in the final 3 innings. So not a great night around the affiliates, but I'm eager to see what Josh Winder's path back to the big leagues looks like. And Topa out there, I'll go in and kind of dig through his numbers to see how the velo and stuff looked. But being back on the mound and being upright is certainly a good thing.
Yeah, they don't all have to be perfect outings, especially early when you're coming back like that. He has a few more games to have a clean inning out there, so it's no panic.
Speaking of some rust, we'll talk about Carlos Correa's return to the lineup. It's been 2 games now. And then Joan Duran made a return and looked, I thought, mostly good. So we'll take a quick second. We have our last pause here. And then when we return, we will hit you up with all of those delicious, delicious details.
Wow.
All right. We've all been there. It's halftime and the game isn't looking good, or it's the 7th inning and the Twins are down, which in this case, the Twins were tied in the 8th. So not quite down, but still, you kind of start wondering how things are going to go when a guy like Andrew Benintendi hits a game-tying home run. But if you're feeling low, you're not sure you or your team can pull out a win, you dig deep, you lift up your head and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. Are you confused yet? Well, hear me out. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you do all of that. You can compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but it's on your phone. So you can play it anytime you want with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's also countless dynamic Monopoly boards. You can make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. I'm going to be honest with you, Dave, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then charge other players rent for your iconic properties. And you can work with your friends to crack open community chests and win tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So do you want to work with or against your friends? It really is up to you. So get back out there and put on your game face. Download Monopoly Go free on the App Store or on Google Play. Hey, on the bright side, I'm not muted going into that last break, so that was good. Around the division, really quickly, KC beats Toronto 4-1. Jose Barrios gives up 2 earned in 7. Eric Swanson 2 earned in 2/3, and Cole Reagans though was phenomenal. I really am looking forward to seeing what he can do this year, as long as it's not against the Twins. But 9 strikeouts in 6 2/3. Cleveland walked off by Houston. Victor Caratini hits a 2-run homer in the 10th. Carlos Carrasco, no bueno, 8 earned in 4 innings. I don't know how long that's going to last. And finally, Tigers split the doubleheader with the Cardinals. Hard luck 2-1 loss. Jack Flaherty was nasty in that first one, but Shelby Miller gave up a couple runs. And Riley Green homered in both games, including an 11-6 win in the nightcap. Now, back to the Twins. Joan Duran, what'd you think? Simeon Woods Richardson was okay. I feel like he might become that new 3/4 inning starter until he finds that next gear. But I thought he was decent. And Cody Funderburk did a fairly good job taking it to the rest of the bullpen. I mean, I know he gave up a home run, but.
Well, Duran had his hop going, so that was good.
Yep.
His velocity was pretty good. Off-speed stuff, pretty good. It was the inning started out. The Twins had some, I don't know if I'd call it bad luck, but the bullpen was they had a couple of chances to have the game put away, and the bullpen didn't really let him do it until the end. So it was, letting Benintendi hit that home run, and which I suppose was bound to happen at some point. But
no, he walked off the Rays too, so that's 2 in like 4 days.
His swing is better, so he's not a moot point like he was, but still, I mean, it's the Twins have really, as we've remarked, had to kind of scratch to win these games. It isn't going quite how it did at Target Field against the White Sox. So, I mean, good for the White Sox, I suppose, to some degree, but it's good to get Duran back in the game, and just how that sets up backward with Duran, Jax, Stewart, and they don't even have Topa yet, but 7, 8, 9, if it's just guys going one inning at a time,
that's nasty.
That's really nasty. I wouldn't. There's nobody who's got a better setup than that. So that's the thing that is most exciting about that game. Just what it means for the future for the rest of the season.
No question about it. I want to talk about a concept that I've actually been devising in my head. I call the bullpen guys the befores and the afters. The before is before the team takes the lead. After is after the team takes the lead. And I think if you look at this bullpen, there's not a single guy that I would say is 100% a quote unquote before. Jay Jackson probably pitches most often when they're tied or behind. Steven Okert, and Cole Sands is kind of that hybrid, whatever they need role. But they've built a bullpen of guys where if they go to any one of these guys up a run in the 7th inning, you're going to be like, well, okay, let's see what happens. Not, oh, brother, this is Dominic Leone coming in, or this is Prelander Barreau. Like the dissonance between these two bullpens could not be more clear.
Yeah, I think that's true in a lot of cases with a lot of teams, not even ones down at the bottom feeding like the White Sox. You have a lot of guys in a lot of bullpens where you're just, we're rolling the dice with this guy again. So and I was like, whoa, Sands is getting like a big time leverage, keep a lead.
Can we talk about how exhausting having a bullpen where every single guy is I guess we're trying this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the stress, and there is something to defining roles and comfort and that kind of thing with relief pitchers. Just because when things go wrong, you kind of don't know where to turn. So, and it's the most demoralizing thing in the world for a team to lose a lead late. I mean, that's the kind of thing that can snowball into losing streaks and that kind of thing. So that's just one of the reasons why it's important to have your game in order there. And the Twins do as much as anyone else. I was a little, as disappointed that Sands wasn't able to hold it there for the first time, but he's not going to be perfect either. So, but still a lot of depth, and it makes you feel easy and very confident about the end of games.
The Twins don't win those 2 games, at least not both of them, if this is played 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, the way the mojo is going, they lose at least one of those, if not both of those games. I'm fairly convinced.
Yeah, although if it's 2 weeks ago against the White Sox, maybe they win anyway. But if they win a similar game against a different team, or if they played you know what I'm saying? So
the whole butterfly Mandela effect, whatever.
Yeah, but the White Sox weren't doing anything 2 weeks ago. But against the typical team, I see what you're saying totally. That it's there are just things that are happening right now with the Twins that, like you said, literally and figuratively weren't happening very recently.
Like Boston coming to town next year after the Twins are off on Thursday. They'll wrap up the White Sox series, as we noted, Oberflex, and check it out on SXM, SiriusXM app. Paddock and Houck, Lopez and Chase Anderson, Joe Ryan and Cooper Criswell. What's going to be fun to see is how well the Twins have stemmed the tide of injuries, and how well this quote-unquote momentum, because I don't like to use overuse a very overused word in sports, if they can use that against teams that are, not the White Sox or the Angels, who are now going to be without Mike Trout for the foreseeable future. Easy for me to say. I'm going to be curious and eager to see how the Twins handle this upcoming homestand, because it's 3 against Boston, 4 against Seattle, and they're lined up to get Castillo, Wu, Kirby, and Gilbert. That's a pretty tough 4-pack there. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be a fun litmus test to see how they parlay success against inferior teams into playing better teams.
I'm not sure if Houck's stuff, his repertoire, what he features, is particularly dangerous against the Twins. But I do know that he's one of the hottest pitchers in the league. It's the Red Sox haven't really known what to do with him or Whitlock these past few years because they're kind of directionless at the top of the pitching staff and the organization. But Houck has been great, so that's a tough matchup for the series opener.
I'm 100% going to tweet Houck Finn if he gets taken out of the game early, just so you know.
Well, you do that.
Yeah.
You see what happens.
Hey, good to have Carlos Correa back. We said that before, but a couple plays he made that do not probably get made by Willie Castro. And that last hit looked like his swing was back.
He's had a couple of really good swings where the bat is snapping, and that's encouraging. He has looked kind of a little more rusty at the plate than he has in the field. I don't know. He's just a natural Spider-Man out there, and it's at 6.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for hanging out, Dave. I guess it's kind of your job, but now I'm going to go try edit out where I was talking and the microphone wasn't on. So that should be a lot of fun. Want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. You've been listening to and watching Locked On Twins, and we'll see you tomorrow night.